what does success look like to you?
You are asking some ripper questions, Mary. My goodness. This is definitely an interview I need to put in a time capsule. It's beautiful. This is always changing and evolving for me too. Success.
I think it does change as you get older, doesn't it? Because I think perhaps when you're younger, certainly for me, perhaps it was more a focus on materialistic things or what I thought society defined as success. And as you get older, you suddenly realise that less, those things aren't important really at all. And it's about actually having the freedom and the life that you want.
Yeah. I think I do find this really challenging because when I die, I really don't want to die in debt. Like that just honestly, I don't know why that's the first thing that comes to my mind, but life's been so expensive. And I really don't want, that success for me would be being able to hold my own and carry my own and carry my weight and not die with debt, but maybe die with having saved some money that could actually be left to make the world a better place. That would probably feel like success for me because I would be leaving in credit. And as silly as that sounds, I think it bothers me because I'm such a person where my whole life I've wanted to leave places bigger and better than how I found them. And I've wanted to make people's lives better by being in it. I've just wanted to leave things better than I found it. And as much as we like to separate financial conversations from the larger overall spiritual picture of things, I do feel like it carries a lot of weight because for me, I know that if I were to be able to, die with a lot of money to give people that needed it, it would really, for me, say, hey, you were able to be generous and you were able to make enough of an impact in the world to have a lot to give, not only through your life, but at the end, to have left over to give. And I just feel like that would be a legacy I'm worthy of, I think, of leaving behind. And so success for me will be when I can get to that point where I'm living so generously and making such an impact that I can see that financial remuneration of that gather throughout my life, and I can actually do really wonderful things for the world with that. Because I feel like in every other way I already do wonderful things for the world, and that's the thing that's left for me to conquer. I think that when I talk to people and when I make my art and I live my day-to-day life, I think I give more than I take, and I think people feel that they receive from me and they benefit from me. But that's one thing, that's still a mountain to climb.
Yeah, but I think one of my favourite quotes, it's on something that my dad got me, was from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he says, if one person has breathed easier because of your existence, that is to have succeeded. And that is a quote I carry through life, and I think, yeah, you've definitely made a lot of people breathe easier in this world. So can I tell them about your dream that you've got to have the place in the country to bring people to? Because I think that's a really lovely embodiment. Or you'll explain it better than me.
Yeah, I would love. I mean, my dream I don't know what the timeline is at the moment. I feel like my timelines are a bit, who knows, but whether it be in 10 years or 20 years, I would love to have this beautiful, like have a beautiful farm and a beautiful big farmhouse with like lots of housing in it, you know, lots of spaces for young women to come and live and stay and kind of heal themselves in this beautiful farmhouse with other young women that have been through similar things to myself, where they haven't grown up in a home where they felt safe and could kind of recover and soothe and find a sense of what it feels like to be safe. And at this, I've got this beautiful vision of Christmas time, because I've spent a lot of Christmases alone, where we'd have a big long table on the farm. And I can already see it'd be like in a beautiful lane of trees on each side with like lanterns and things, and we'll have a big long table that goes, like I joked to you about this, but I want it to happen. Eventually I want it to become such a long table it goes for like a kilometre.
Yeah.
And
Like
it's
binoculars
a kilometre long. Yeah, like almost like Mad Hatter Tea Party style probably too, but like a big long table full of a banquet for this fruit, like a Christmas feast, and just beautiful people along this table, whether they be the people that have stayed at the farm in like previous years and recovered and kind of done some of that healing work and then gone on to thrive and do other things, you know, just everyone sort of coming back, and the people that have used this as a healing tool and us currently staying for respite, and just everybody filling up this big long table and being able to, you know, swap seats and get to know other people that have like gone through similar things, and hopefully have some people at the table that have just done beautiful, inspiring things, and just to know that there's hope and there's a future, and it's never too late to be at home. It's never too late. And, you know, I imagine at this farm that we'd have like lots of animals, because animals are so healing. You know, I've got my first dog this year, and she's brought me so much healing. She's healed me in ways that you can't put into words. And so, you know, having animals that could help facilitate that process, and you know, just doing art and music and maybe even learning how to kick some ass and, you know, do some Muay Thai and, you know, all of those things that all the things that I've done over the years that have helped me recover and heal, to kind of create a space for that too. So that would be the dream. And I know that a lot of people that do achieve great success in entertainment go on to do wonderful things like that. Like I think that Oprah has an orphanage, and I'm pretty sure Tiffany Haddish does something else with girls as well, like foster kids. I think she does something like that as well, because she grew up in the foster system. So I think that for me too, being able to dream big like that at this stage of my life is really inspiring, because I think that where I'm at the moment, when I'm sort of reaching the edges of the fishbowl that I'm in, you can get a lot of negativity and a lot of people that judge you negatively for wanting more, or for pushing, or for, you know, trying to actually achieve what you're doing. And it's really important to have the grounding of knowing the greater purpose for your work, and that the greater purpose for your work isn't to get some fancy designer shoes, although fucking go for your life if you get to have that opportunity and that brings you joy. But the greater purpose of beyond just doing what you love and being able to, you know, give that to people is that you could have power in the world, and you could have money. And I don't believe money is a bad word, but I think that we treat it like it is. But you could have money and you could have that power to actually do something that's so loving and caring for other people that it could heal the deepest parts of you, you know, and that you could really make a difference. And I think we have to keep that in our mind's eye as we move forward, to keep us grounded and to keep out of self-loathing, and to keep self-loving as we take strides, and know that we are so worthy of all of the success and all of the celebration, all of the wonderful things because we are on a journey to do more of that for other people, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I definitely want a seat at that table, and I think that's something that I could see
You
spreading
will.
spreading throughout the world as well. Because I'm very similar. That I'd love to set up a community theatre locally. Because to me, like youth theatre was my ultimate saviour. I started going to youth theatre when I was 11, and it gave me so much. I ended up being in 2 youth theatres, and I just think it's a great outlet for kids. And there's a lot of like what I call stage school type places that not quite, you don't get that experience, but there's something very raw about letting everyone just express themselves. So yeah, I think we need to have the Dot and Mary Foundation that spreads throughout the world, so we can spread the joy that we've had.
Yeah. I love that. And, you know,
Yeah.
our visions and our dreams may change too. And that's what's beautiful, is that, like, we can have these visions to inspire us today, and they can morph into something different. But the essence always remains the same, which is that you can extend what you've had, you know, that the gifts that you've been given, you can spread them and give them to other people. But I love that so much. And yeah, it's interesting you say that, because my biological mother, she did youth theatre as well, and I know that was very healing for her. And it's just interesting that you say that, because I remember saying to my mother several times, "You should set up a youth theatre, Mum. You should set it up, because you would do something for you. It would be really special for you, because you'd get to see other people benefit from the thing that you benefited from." It's a big part of it, isn't it? Carrying that torch and enjoying something for yourself so that you can pass it along too.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I think you remember the people that stood out to you and helped you, and they probably don't even think about it or think that they were an inspiration. But they will never know perhaps the influence that they had in someone's lives by giving them that outlet, and that expression and that freedom that perhaps they didn't have anywhere else. So I think it is almost a duty, really, if you can, to pass that on and continue with it.
And I think it just keeps it pure. It keeps you generative. I don't think it's a coincidence that the word generous and generative are so similar. But when you think of generative, it's making, it's doing, it's gathering, it's creation. And I think that people get really sick and really stagnant when they forget that forward momentum, and they forget that connection to creation in the realization of their dreams. Because there are a lot of people that reach great heights of success and kind of don't do much with it, right?
Yeah,
But
probably the majority.
I
really.
don't think they're the happy. Yeah, and I don't think that makes them happy. And I think that they're just a bit lost, and they just have, you know, failed to realize that, the generative energy, the generous energy, is what's going to actually, like, elevate them and make them take them to that, like, fully evolved experience of joy and, like, what we're here for.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Perfect.
I think the superficial stuff is fun too. Like receiving shiny things and novelty items and novelty experiences. That's fantastic too. But it's got to feel pretty hollow if that's all that there is, I think.
Definitely. So we're coming to the end now, and it sounds like that young Dorothy had a really difficult time, and things weren't always great. So, what do you think she would say if she could see you now, and how far you've come and what you've achieved?
It's so funny. Like, when I looked at this one, I knew straight away what she's saying, and she drives me nuts every day. Literally every day I wake up and she's like tugging at me. She's like, come on, come on, come on, more, more, more. What are we waiting for? What are we doing? And I'm like, oh, bitch, please. I'm exhausted. It's been an exhausting life. And she's like, Dorothy! Like, hurry the fuck up. And, yeah, that's what she's saying. Because she still wants to be in a blockbuster movie. She wants to be frolicking around in costume on set. Like, that's all she wants to be doing. So she's like, what are you waiting for? What are you doing, woman? And I'm like, we need to plan. We're working towards
We're
it.
getting there.
Oh, she's so sick of my shit and so impatient. And I love her. And so living of life is just trying to find this balance between the I'm planning and the hurry up, and the impatience versus the waiting too long. The adult and the kid have to kind of work together to kind of get a good middle ground of that. But she also is just, it's interesting. I think she's also just aware. She knows that I'm just working hard right now and I'm not really seeing myself or acknowledging myself. Like, I'm not really present to where I'm at and what I'm doing, because it kind of just feels like a in-between time, not a notable time. She's just kind of like, yeah, I get it. I get where you're at. Like, this is not our greatest moment. This is not our finest hour. But yeah, but she's happy with me in the sense that she knows that I've made all of the decisions that I needed to make for me. Like, there is nothing that I've done. Like, I couldn't have made any other decisions any other way. Like, she's always there being like, you had to do it. That was the best of the options, So, yeah.
Well, I think you've
it.
definitely made the best of the hand that you've been dealt, because I don't see many other people would have kept going the way you have. You're definitely one of the most resilient people I've ever met. And I really think what you've shared today will be really inspirational to a lot of people. So thank you for being so honest and vulnerable and articulate and hilarious as ever.